I still have the card. I think I'll still have it 10 years from now. I thought the hardest part was burying my husband. I was wrong. 3 days later, I opened a card that changed everything I thought I knew about the last 16 years of my life. My name is Natalie Harper. This is the story of how one thank you card unraveled 2 marriages. 3 weeks before Daniel died, he was standing at the counter of our kitchen in Ridgewood, New Jersey, making coffee wrong, the way he always did. Too many grounds, never enough water. I told him, the way I told him every morning for 16 years, that he was going to give us both a heart attack from the caffeine alone. He laughed. He always laughed at that joke. He handed me a cup anyway. Too strong, exactly the way I secretly liked it, and kissed the top of my head on his way to the garage. "Love you, Nat," he said. Like he said every morning, hold on to that man for a minute, because in 11 days I was going to find out he didn't just belong to me, and it was going to be so much harder to hate him than I wanted it to be. One Tuesday in March, Daniel collapsed in that same garage. Heart attack. 51 years old. Gone before the ambulance made it 3 blocks. The funeral was exactly what you'd expect. Casseroles, flowers, neighbors from the cul-de-sac, old college friends who'd driven in from as far as Boston, a minister who kept calling him a devoted family man, like he'd rehearsed the phrase for someone else's funeral, and cards. So many cards. I sat at the kitchen table for 3 days, opening them one by one because it felt like the only thing I could still do for him. Most said the same thing. "So sorry for your loss. He was a wonderful man." Then I opened one that didn't fit. Handwritten. Careful cursive. Postmarked from Washington State. "Natalie, I know this is strange timing, but I wanted to thank you for sharing him with me these past 7 years. He talked about you with so much love. I'm grateful you gave him the space to be happy. See." I read it once. Then I laughed. I actually laughed, alone in my kitchen, 3 days after my husband's funeral. Because it had to be a mistake. There are a lot of Daniel Harpers in this country. I looked it up. 6 on the East Coast alone. I told myself this card had gone to the wrong widow, some other Natalie, some other funeral, some mix-up on the other side of the country. I called the return address, a Seattle number I didn't recognize. No answer. I told my sister that night, laughing it off. Can you imagine getting someone else's condolence card, mailed clear across the country? She laughed with me. For almost a full day. I believed that. I wanted to believe that. Then I noticed the postmarked date. It hadn't gone anywhere else first. It came straight to my address in New Jersey. My name spelled correctly. My street, my zip code. Not a wrong widow, not a careless printer, not some other Natalie 3 states away. Me. I decided to prove it was nothing. I remembered Daniel mentioning a hotel he liked. So I searched our credit card statement and found a charge. One night, 8 months ago, at a Hampton Inn 20 minutes from our house. My stomach dropped before I even dialed the number. I called. A confused, kind woman on the other end told me the room had been booked for a 4-man bridge inspection crew from Daniel's firm, a contract right there in Bergen County. She read me the names. All men, all co-workers I half recognized from company barbecues. Nothing. I felt embarrassed. I'd actually apologized to a stranger on the phone for accusing my dead husband of something. I checked one more thing before I let it go for good. An old email account he barely used. Mostly newsletters and receipts. and searched it for the letter C. Nothing came back. No Claire, no Kathy, no Christine. An empty search. For about 10 minutes, I felt real relief. Then, out of habit, I pulled up 6 years of bank statements just to close the folder for good. That's when I saw it. Daniel traveled for work, structural engineering conferences, 3 or 4 times a year, always flying out of Newark. I'd never questioned it, but laid out across 6 years, the pattern was impossible to miss. Same city, every single time. Seattle, Washington, March, July, October, year after year. There was no annual conference in Seattle that matched his dates. 7 years, the card said. The statements went back 6. It wasn't a mistake. It was a schedule. I put the card in my purse that night. I didn't want it out of my sight anymore. I didn't tell anyone. Not my sister, not my kids. I became someone I didn't recognize. Quiet, methodical, careful. I found a hotel loyalty account under an email I'd never seen. 22 stays at the same boutique hotel near the Seattle waterfront. I found a folder of photos backed up to a cloud drive Daniel had forgotten was still logged in. A woman with dark hair and an easy smile. A dinner table with a view I didn't recognize. Evergreens, gray sky. A dog I'd never seen. A Christmas tree that wasn't ours. Her name was buried in the photo details. Claire Ashford. I found emails. Not desperate declarations. No guilt, just normal. Grocery lists. A broken dishwasher. Miss you, see you in 3 weeks. It didn't read like an affair. It read like a marriage. The worst part wasn't the discovery. It was how organized it was. Daniel hadn't stumbled into this. He'd built it, brick by brick for 7 years, 3,000 miles away, while sitting across from me at our own dinner table. I found Claire's number through the hotel's guest directory. Daniel had never removed me as an emergency contact, a detail so small it almost felt like he wanted to be caught. She agreed to meet. I flew to Seattle 2 days later. We met at a small diner near Pike Place Market. I brought the card with me. I set it on the table before either of us said a word. Claire's face went white. "I know this card," she said quietly. I helped him pick the paper. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a small velvet box. Her hands were shaking almost as badly as mine. Inside was a ring, antique gold, a small emerald, slightly off-center. I knew that ring. I'd held that exact ring once, years ago, in Daniel's grandmother's jewelry box, back in the house he grew up in outside Philadelphia. He'd told me it was stolen out of a hotel safe on a business trip, years before we married. He'd been devastated. He said it was the one thing of hers he couldn't replace. It wasn't lost. He'd given it to Claire. Neither of us spoke for almost a full minute. He told me his grandmother wanted me to have it, Claire finally said. That it skipped a generation because she never met anyone who deserved it. Until me. I remembered him telling me almost that exact sentence about a different piece of jewelry, 4 years into our marriage. I let her tell it her way first, how they'd actually met. A real conference in Los Angeles, the one year his firm genuinely sent him there. She said he'd made her laugh so hard at a hotel bar that she'd spilled a drink on a stranger and Daniel had covered the dry cleaning bill without being asked. She told me about the dog, a rescue mutt named Baxter they'd adopted from a shelter in Tacoma. She told me about a rainy anniversary dinner where the power went out across half of Seattle and they ate cold takeout by candlelight and called it the best night of the year. She wasn't performing sympathy for me. She was grieving too, a man who called her twice a day, who knew her coffee order, who folded her laundry the exact same way he'd folded mine. I let her talk for a while before I asked what I'd been avoiding. What were you two planning? Long term. She looked at the ring box. He proposed 2 years ago. We were planning a wedding for next spring out at a vineyard near Seattle. He told me you two hadn't been together in years. Separate bedrooms. He said you knew about me. He said you were okay with it. None of that happened, I said. There was no arrangement. There was a conference that never existed. Daniel wasn't cheating on one of us. He was married to both of us in every way except paper. Claire wasn't the villain. She was the other version of me. Over the next 2 weeks, Claire and I compared notes long distance like two detectives on the same case. Our anniversaries were 9 days apart. He never missed either one. He gave the same toast at both our birthday dinners, almost word for word, about being the luckiest man in any room he walked into. He'd told each of us the same line about our place, the one nobody else knows about, 2 different Italian restaurants, 3,000 miles apart, both owners knowing both our names. The same cabin company, booked every autumn for 7 straight years. His outside Leavenworth, Washington, mine in the Poconos, both just for us. The same playlist too. Songs he'd told each of us, separately, that he'd made just for you, and a handwritten love note, folded into a book at my house, and a nearly identical one folded into a book at hers. Same handwriting, same opening line, different name at the top. He used to say I was the only person who really knew him, Claire said. I believed that. So did I. It wasn't jealousy anymore. It was grief, doubled. The last thing I found was in the bottom drawer of Daniel's desk, under a stack of old tax returns. 2 envelopes, unsealed, unfinished. One addressed to me, one to Claire. I read mine first. Natalie, by the time you read this, I'll have already told you everything. I know there's no version of this that doesn't destroy you. I need you to know that what we built was real, even if... It stopped mid-sentence. Claire mailed me hers, word for word, same opening, same apology. Cut off in the exact same place. Even the pen strokes matched. Same rhythm, same pressure. Like he'd written one and immediately copied it onto the second page while the feeling was still fresh enough to fake twice. He hadn't written 2 confessions. He'd written one and duplicated his own guilt on opposite sides of the country. Claire and I didn't call lawyers. We didn't call the news. There was no one left to confront. 6 weeks after the funeral, Claire flew out to New Jersey, and we drove to the Jersey shore together, an urn of ashes on the seat between us. I keep waiting to feel like I won something, Claire said, looking out at the Atlantic instead of the Pacific she was used to. Finding out I wasn't the only one. It just feels sad. I know, I said. We're the only 2 people who will ever fully understand what happened to us. Neither of us wanted that in common. We scattered his ashes off a quiet stretch near Sandy Hook, into the same wind at the same moment, not because he deserved peace, because we did. We stood there a while after the ashes were gone, not talking, just watching the water do what water does, indifferent to either of us. Driving home, I finally understood something. Daniel never really chose between us. He didn't split his heart and give each of us a smaller piece. He chose the version of himself each of us believed in, the devoted, coffee-spilling husband I fell in love with at 26, the romantic who gave away his grandmother's ring to a woman who made him feel young again, 3,000 miles from home. Neither version was a lie exactly, but neither was ever going to be enough to become real, because real love doesn't need a second draft mailed to a second address. That night, I opened Daniel's empty desk drawer one last time I took the thank you card out of my purse, where I'd carried it for 2 months, and I read it one more time. Then I set it inside the drawer and closed it, not to forget it, because for the first time since the funeral, I didn't need to carry it anymore. Every story on this channel starts the same way this one did, with something small that turns out to mean everything. If you felt that tonight, leave a comment and tell me where you'd have stopped trusting him, and subscribe to Smoke and Betrayal. There's another story like this one waiting.